Hey, what's up? This is Joe. This video is going to take you on a solo motorcycle expedition into the Indonesia jungle. Alright, so this is it, man. This is the land of the Komodo dragons. Just being here really sort of fulfills a childhood dream. Always wanted to come and see these things in the wild. Whether I'll be able to actually see them or not, it's kind of hit or miss from what I understand. You might see them, you might not. There he is. Pretty rough customer right there. I've seen some pretty brutal highlight reels of these things and the way they take down their prey. It's not quick and easy like a big cat or something like that, which would go for the neck. These things go for like the midsection, man, and basically rip your entrails out. It does not look like an easy way to go. So. All right, so I just found this little kitchen and ordered some pork noodles. There's a sign with a pig on it out front, so I'm taking it that pork is kind of the theme here. This island's interesting because it's majority Catholic, unlike most of the rest of Indonesia, which is predominantly Muslim, with the exception of like this island, and Bali for that matter, sort of has its own distinct kind of a sect of Hinduism. So thus, at least on this island, they've got no qualms about eating pork. So dude is back there cooking them up, and the smell inside of here right now is on another level. It's garlic, spices, frying up in oil. The whole place is just filled with the aroma of delicious food cooking. So I'm excited. This is mie goreng. Mie goreng? Lezat. It's got some sweetness coming off of the spice mixture. Absolutely fantastic. Peppery. It's got cinnamon in it. It's been about 4 or 5 years since I've had a cigarette, but Indonesia famous for the kritek or the clove cigarettes, which I think are actually illegal in the United States right now. Right now I'm hiking to my hotel. This place just looks like it would be full of Komodo dragons. Having gotten around almost exclusively on scooters throughout most of my Southeast Asia travels, I finally lucked out and found a decently priced motorcycle rental place. Fortunately, I was here during the low season, so they had plenty to choose from. So finally on more or less of a proper motorcycle. This is a CRF 150. Found this actually for not much more than a lot of the scooters are going for here. Basically a dirt bike. They offered to put that top case on the back, which is absolutely a necessity for me. I've turned down some motorcycle rentals in the past just because I need a waterproof storage compartment for my laptop and camera gear. Seems to be riding pretty good. Got brand new knobby tires on there. About to take this down the road and have some fun. One of the first things that stands out about riding in Indonesia, aside from the fact that everyone drives on the left side, is that cars and trucks pretty much go wherever they want, including taking up most of your lane. If you're lucky, they'll leave you a tiny corridor just barely big enough to squeeze through. Selamat siang. One person? Yeah.
Over there or downstairs?
Right here is okay. All right, we'll see how they do iced tea in Indonesia. That's sweet tea straight from southern United States. I mean, if I went to Mississippi, I'd be happy to have the same thing, honestly. Anyway, it's absolutely sweltering hot. As you can see, not many clouds in the sky, just absolutely brutal. Not really sure what the plan is today. It's just kind of riding in a vague direction into the mountains and hopefully cool off when I get to a higher elevation. All right, here we go. A little bit of fried duck, half an egg marinated in soy sauce, fried tofu, something else, I'm not really sure what that is, some kind of signature glass noodles that this particular place does, a nice looking pyramid of rice, some chili sambal. The duck is fantastic. Typically, given the choice, I'll take duck usually over chicken. To me, it's just a lot more flavorful. This is a chayote. A lot of tropical countries around the world have sort of traded over the years different types of cooking ingredients and stuff like that, and they've been part of the indigenous cuisine for hundreds of years. So I'm not really sure exactly where the chayote actually comes from, but interestingly, they do call it a chayote here, which is also the name that they use in Spanish. So here's a little bit of chayote. Yeah, man. They've cooked it in some kind of animal fat with fried garlic. As far as vegetables go, it's delicious. After sitting there and pondering over my lunch, I got a better idea of where I'm headed. The guys that rented me the scooter were telling me about this lake that's way up in the mountains, and it's going to involve a lot of dirt roads. So let's go check it out. I was initially very pleased with the CRF 150. It quickly became apparent that it was drastically underpowered on the insanely steep roads of this so-called highway. Making it up the mountain was a frustrating and oftentimes harrowing experience, like when this truck seemed to come straight at me on one of the steep-ass hairpins. All right, so I'm on this smaller road that the guy at the scooter rental place mentioned. You haven't seen any of it yet because I need to recharge my camera for a little bit. That thing is a gutless pig on these really steep uphills, man. I'm downshifting all the way down and then holding the throttle wide open. It's still only going like 5-10 miles an hour. It's kind of frustrating, especially when you got like trucks and stuff that are swerving using the entire road and stuff like that. So you just have a little bit of room to sort of maneuver and not a lot of power to kind of get out of the way. So it's a pain in the ass. I'm really happy to be off that highway, honestly. Big trucks and stuff taking up the whole road. There's a waterfall coming right out of the ground. I'm gonna mention that this is probably the wildest place I've ever been. I mean, these jungles are just teeming with wildlife, and you can see why. Actually, these islands were the inspiration for the story for King Kong, and you can totally see it. I mean, it just feels like there are species of giant reptiles lurking around every corner, which is indeed true. I mean, there are reticulated pythons that eat people, crocodiles, Komodo dragons. While the Komodo dragon has largely been extirpated from Flores Island, there are still some areas they do inhabit here. Whether I'd catch a glimpse of any on this trip remained to be seen. It was only once I'd gotten off the highway that the ride really began to get interesting. It was precisely this type of stuff that the humble 150 was designed for. This is kind of an interesting fence made from bamboo. Got a lot of live plants kind of growing around it, vines and stuff. And these are a bunch of corrals. Down there, it looks like there's some kind of a plant in the middle of those little bamboo stockades. Hello, selamat sore. Wow, man, these are actually bats, I think, flying around. Maybe not. They're not making any noise. I don't think they're bats. There's a water buffalo, it looks like. Guy taking a bath. Tons of these little things. They might be like swiftlets. Actually, I think is what they're called. Obviously, there's a nest of them probably living under this bridge.
What will you do in Sanawang Lake?
Oh, maybe go swimming.
Swimming.
Maybe not. Maybe I just take a photo.
Every day we are using speak English.
Every day they teach you a little bit of English. So where are you from?
I'm from here.
From here?
Yes.
Okay. Siapa nama kamu?
Udin.
Udin.
Yeah. My name is Udin.
Senang bertemu denganmu.
I'm too.
Nice to meet you. Where are you going?
We're going to my home.
Okay. I like this road. This is better than the highway. The highway is crazy. Too many trucks. Do you have the Komodo dragon here? No.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year?
Yes.
Okay. Sampai jumpa.
Sampai jumpa. 30 minutes.
30 minutes? Easy. Selamat sore. Selamat sore. The guys at the motorcycle rental place had warned me that the going would likely be rough due to recent rains. I was sitting here contemplating this crossing when another guy on a bike showed up and solved the dilemma for me. Sore. For the next several miles, I basically followed the guy in front of me, matching his speed and copying his route through the rocks. It was kind of like having my own tour guide, for a while anyway. Eventually the man got to wherever he was going and waved at me as I passed. about here is where I began to have some doubts about the road I was on. There'd been a right turn back there which looked a lot more used than this one. The sun was beginning to hang low in the west, and whichever way I went, I was going to have to be quick about it. After a while of pontificating, I finally said screw it and kept going straight. I was doing fine until I got to all this stuff, which is like got all this grass growing through the rocks. It's slippery and bumpy at the same time, so you just don't really have a lot of traction on this type of stuff. Nevertheless, once I get past this little bit right here, I'll be pretty much good, I think. Once again, I was faced with a dilemma. I didn't want to ride over the cord in case it freaked out the cow, so I waited until the line went slack and gingerly passed over. Doing a little bit of bushwhacking the rest of the way to the waterfall. The trail has gotten pretty damn steep, slippery. I almost totally ate shit back there coming up the hill. Don't think I recorded any of it. I was able to save the bike and then just kind of use the throttle to get it the rest of the way up the steep ass hill. Doesn't look like anybody's been back here in a long time. This is definitely some crazy Indonesia jungle. Thank goodness for Google Maps, man. I was walking the wrong way into the jungle. That could have been a disaster. So as far as I can tell from the map, it looks like the way to the lake is right through here. I don't got a machete, man. I ain't into a bunch of like Indonesian bushwhacking to get to a lake that I'm going to take a picture of and then leave immediately. So I guess that's a no-go. But the rest of this has been awesome. The directions that took me here were simply to get to the lake itself and not any specific, like a good beach or viewpoint or anything like that. So there's probably a good viewpoint or a beach somewhere along that lake that'll probably take you right to it. But I'm pretty exhausted after today, all the riding that I've done, you know, dodging big ass trucks on the highway and doing like 20 odd miles of off-road, which is kind of a lot for me. You know, I'm not typically a big off-road guy, but this has been an absolute blast. This is kind of what the CRF 150 was made for, as opposed to doing really steep paved roads. I am so happy to be back on this rough, rocky stuff again. That, even though it didn't look like it, that grassy stuff growing up through there was just, hey! It was just absolutely treacherous, man. Just fishtailing. The grass gets caught between those smooth rocks in your tire, and you're just got no traction. I probably wouldn't venture to take my own bike back home up stuff like this, just because I live off of the bike and it's my entire livelihood, and I hate breaking stuff. So, but on a rented bike, why not? Oh. Selamat sore. Anyway, big shout out to the Honda brakes. I typically dread coming down really steep, rocky stuff, But on this bike, I was almost looking forward to it, actually, just because those brakes are so grippy. You know, obviously using the brakes in addition to the clutch, gently working your way down the hill. But it's like no issue at all. I mean, they don't feel like they're even close to being locked up. Being as it was during the rainy season, a storm kicked up and I was thoroughly drenched in about 30 seconds. That escalated quickly. Just like a woman, the storm was wet and wild for 1 minute, then gone the next. What's up, bro? Hey, what the? I think that guy just flipped me off. At this point, I was almost out of daylight, and I was still miles away from anything resembling a town. The good thing was, once I got back on the highway, it would mostly be downhill. Selamat sore. Apakah Anda bisa berbahasa Inggris? No? Okay, let's see. Saya mau makan satu, this one, egg.
Telur
Uh-huh.
makan di sini.
Yeah. Okay.
Tidak kurang.
Yeah, it's good.
Cukup.
And then, yeah, that one, satu.
One. Chicken.
Yeah, chicken. Vegetables,
Chili.
please. And one more chicken. One more chicken. One more egg. Yeah. How do you say in bahasa Indonesia?
Dua.
Dua. Okay. Terima kasih. Selamat sore.
Selamat sore.
Apa kabar?
Baik.
Okay. Good old Indonesian street food. That chicken is fried, and then they cover it in a sauce, and all the breading on the chicken like absorbs the chili sauce. It's out of this world. Okay, terima kasih. After I complimented his food, the guy gave me a look as if I just made his whole week. Sampai jumpa. Thank you. I woke the next morning to find the motorcycle staring at me like an excited dog, just begging to go on another adventure. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe. And as usual, I've included an optional donate link in the drop box for anybody that might like to contribute to this project. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the road.